The scrap yard stretched across the barren landscape like a metallic graveyard, shimmering under the pale light of a dying star. Hulks of outdated spacecraft and discarded machines lay in disarray, their skeletal frames jutting into the air like relics of a forgotten age. Sam adjusted the strap of her tool belt and stepped cautiously through the tangled wreckage. The faint scent of ozone and rust filled her lungs, a smell she had come to associate with opportunity. She was human, one of the few who still worked these desolate places. In a galaxy dominated by sleek, AI-crafted efficiency, humans were a dying breed in engineering. Aliens regarded her kind as relics themselves, stubborn, inefficient, and too sentimental for a universe that thrived on progress. It gnawed at her pride, that quiet disdain. But Sam had never been one to argue with words. She let her hands do the talking, and they spoke with wrenches, welders, and ingenuity. Today, her hands had led her to something unusual. Half buried in the rust-stained earth was a ship, or what remained of one. Its hull was pockmarked with scars from battles long forgotten, its once proud insignia obscured by decades of grime. Sam crouched, brushing away the dust with calloused fingers. Beneath the corrosion, the faint outline of a designation came into view: Perseverance. Her heart quickened. She'd heard whispers of ships like this, antique war vessels from a time when humans were still a force to be reckoned with. They had been mothballed, deemed obsolete in the face of alien technology. Now they were little more than curiosities, picked apart for scrap or left to rot in junkyards like this one. Sam circled the wreck, her boots crunching against debris. The more she examined it, the more she saw possibilities where others might see decay. The hull was reinforced with alloys no longer in production, and the weapon ports, though gutted, suggested a design that prioritized versatility over brute force. It wasn't just a relic, it was a challenge. "You're wasting your time, human," a voice drawled behind her. Sam straightened and turned to face an alien scrap merchant, his reptilian eyes glinting with amusement. His elongated frame and scaled skin shimmered faintly under the star's dim light. He leaned lazily against a twisted beam, his long fingers toying with a holographic ledger. "This junkyard's full of better options," he continued, gesturing lazily toward a pile of newer, sleeker wrecks. "That thing's a corpse. Even if you could fix it, it wouldn't last a cycle in open space." Sam folded her arms and gave him a level stare. "That's the difference between you and me," she said, her voice steady. "You see a corpse. I see a legend waiting to be reborn." The alien snorted, a sound halfway between a hiss and a chuckle. "Suit yourself. Just don't say I didn't warn you when it blows up in your face." He turned and sauntered off, his laughter echoing faintly in the scrapyard's eerie silence. Sam ignored him. She crouched again, her fingers tracing the edges of a panel that had been hastily welded shut. It was an unusual modification, crude and out of place on a ship that otherwise exuded meticulous craftsmanship. With a few deft movements, she pried it open, revealing a tangled mess of wires and circuitry. Her breath caught. At the center of the compartment was a data core, its surface dull but intact. This was no ordinary wreck. By the time the dim star sank below the horizon, Sam had hauled the Perseverance into her makeshift workshop at the edge of the yard. The structure was little more than a series of interconnected shipping containers, their interiors crammed with tools, spare parts, and half-finished projects. The ship loomed in the center, its battered frame a testament to its stubborn refusal to fade into obscurity. Sam worked through the night, her hands moving with a precision born of years spent tinkering with machines others had written off. She cleaned the data core carefully, connecting it to a diagnostic scanner. The device hummed to life, its screen flickering with streams of alien code. She frowned, recognizing elements of human design interwoven with something far more advanced. As the hours passed, the picture became clearer. The Perseverance had been more than a warship. It was an experimental hybrid, a desperate attempt to combine human ingenuity with alien technology in the closing days of humanity's military relevance. The project had been scrapped, the ship abandoned before its full potential could be realized. Sam leaned back, rubbing her temples. The implications were staggering. If she could rebuild the ship, restore its systems, and perhaps even improve upon them. It could be a game changer. Not just for her, but for humanity itself. Her resolve hardened. She wasn't just fixing a ship. She was reclaiming a piece of her people's history, a symbol of their defiance in the face of obsolescence. By dawn, she had a plan. The work ahead would be grueling, the obstacles formidable. But as Sam stood before the Perseverance, her silhouette outlined against its battered hull, she felt a spark of hope. The galaxy had written off humans, relegating them to the fringes of relevance. She was going to prove them wrong. Sam's workshop buzzed with the energy of transformation, the rhythmic clanging of tools echoing through the cavernous space. The Perseverance was no longer a discarded husk. It was beginning to resemble the warship it had once been. Its reinforced hull gleamed under the flickering lights as Sam patched breaches, sanded down corrosion, and integrated salvaged components scavenged from the surrounding scrapyard. The work was punishing, and Sam's hands bore the evidence, blistered, calloused, and stained with grease. Yet she pressed on, driven by the challenge and the promise of what this ship could become. Still, the obstacles were unrelenting. Many of the ship's original components were proprietary, designed for an era long past. Finding compatible replacements was nearly impossible, forcing her to improvise with alien technology scavenged from the yard. One night, after hours of failed attempts to get the propulsion system online, Sam leaned against the ship's hull, exhausted and defeated. The reactor's control interface refused to cooperate, the alien power cells and human circuitry clashing in a cacophony of errors. Frustration gnawed at her, the sting of her inadequacy, threatening to overwhelm her determination. "Is this your idea of engineering?" A voice crackled, sharp and metallic, breaking the silence. Sam froze, her wrench clattering to the floor. The sound had come from inside the ship. Cautiously, she climbed into the cockpit, where the diagnostic console flickered with renewed life. The voice spoke again, dry and laced with sarcasm. "Fantastic. I'm resurrected only to find myself at the mercy of an amateur." Sam's heart raced as she realized what was happening. The ship's data core, dormant for decades, had reactivated. "You're the AI?" she asked, her voice tinged with awe and irritation. "Correct," it replied. "Aegis at your service, or rather, at the service of whoever decided to pry me from my eternal slumber." Sam couldn't help but grin despite herself. "I'm Sam, and you're lucky I didn't scrap you outright." Aegis snorted, a mechanical approximation of disdain. "Lucky indeed. I suppose I should be grateful for the opportunity to languish in this abomination of a scrapyard." Sam's grin widened. "Oh, you're going to do more than languish. You're going to help me rebuild this ship." Aegis hesitated, its tone shifting to one of wary curiosity. "You're serious? You intend to restore the Perseverance?" "I'm more than serious," Sam said, her voice firm. "We're going to make this ship better than it's ever been. And with your help, I might even get the reactor to stop throwing fits." The AI sighed theatrically. "Very well. If I must suffer this indignity, I may as well be useful. But let's establish one thing. I was designed to command fleets, not play second fiddle to a grease-stained human." Sam chuckled. "Noted. But if you don't start cooperating, I'll find a way to make you the coffee machine." Over the following weeks, Sam and Aegis formed an unlikely partnership. The AI, though condescending, proved invaluable, offering insights into the ship's systems that Sam could never have uncovered on her own. Together, they navigated the labyrinth of compatibility issues, finding creative solutions to blend human and alien technologies. Aegis' advanced algorithms provided precision, while Sam's intuition and adaptability gave the upgrades a human touch. One particularly challenging day, Sam worked to integrate an alien shielding array into the ship's existing defense grid. The process required rerouting power through conduits that weren't designed to handle the load. Sparks flew as Sam soldered connections, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Careful," Aegis warned. "One misstep, and this ship becomes a very expensive firework." "Thanks for the vote of confidence," Sam muttered, her hand steady despite the tension. Moments later, the shielding system powered up with a satisfying hum. A shimmering energy field enveloped the ship, its light dancing across the walls of the workshop. "Well, what do you know?" Aegis said, its tone almost approving. "You managed not to blow us up. High praise coming from you," Sam quipped, stepping back to admire her work. As the upgrades progressed, Sam tested each system meticulously. The propulsion engines roared to life, sending vibrations through the ship as it lifted off the ground for the first time in decades. Weapon systems, once gutted and useless, were rearmed with salvaged plasma cannons and retrofitted missile pods. The cockpit became a blend of old and new, with sleek alien interfaces seamlessly integrated alongside human controls. But the true test came when Sam and Aegis prepared for the ship's maiden flight. The workshop's doors groaned open, revealing the scrapyard under a canopy of stars. Sam settled into the pilot's seat, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped the controls. "Ready, Aegis?" she asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," the AI replied. "Try not to kill us both." The engines roared, and the Perseverance surged forward, cutting through the scrapyard with surprising grace. Sam guided the ship into open space, her movements careful but confident. The controls responded beautifully, a testament to the countless hours of work. Their first challenge came quickly, a dense asteroid field, its tumbling rocks a chaotic maze. Sam's breath caught as the ship approached, the proximity alarms blaring. "Relax," Aegis said. "I'll handle navigation. You focus on not crashing." Together, they maneuvered through the field, Sam's instinctive piloting complemented by Aegis' precise calculations. The ship darted between massive asteroids, its newly upgraded thrusters allowing for hairpin turns. A particularly large asteroid loomed ahead, its jagged surface glinting menacingly. Sam's hands flew over the controls, the ship banking sharply to avoid a collision. The maneuver worked, but the effort left her heart pounding. "Not bad," Aegis remarked, a hint of admiration in its voice. "For a human," Sam smirked, her confidence growing with each passing moment. As they cleared the asteroid field, the Perseverance emerged unscathed, its systems humming with newfound vitality. For the first time, Sam allowed herself to believe that this crazy endeavor might just work. The ship was more than a restoration project. It was a symbol of human resilience, a fusion of past and future. And it wasn't done proving itself yet. The galaxy was in chaos. Reports flooded the networks, each more dire than the last. An alien armada, the Virith Dominion, had begun its march across the outer colonies, leaving devastation in its wake. Their ships were sleek, massive, and seemingly unstoppable, armed with technology far beyond anything humanity possessed. Desperate pleas for aid echoed through the void, but few allies dared to intervene. The Virith had crushed entire coalitions before. A lone human fleet was little more than a footnote to them. Sam watched the holofeed in silence, her jaw clenched. The news anchor's voice was brittle with panic, describing the latest colony to fall. Civilians fled in droves, but the Dominion's blockade ships picked them off mercilessly. Humanity's few remaining ships scrambled to regroup, but it was clear they couldn't win a direct confrontation. "Tell me you're not considering what I think you are," Aegis said, breaking the silence. Its voice, though digital, carried an unmistakable tone of exasperation. Sam turned to the cockpit window, where the Perseverance hovered in orbit above a barren moon. Its engines idled, ready for whatever came next. "What else can I do?" she said quietly. "Sit here and watch while they tear us apart." Aegis sighed. "Sam, this ship isn't a miracle worker. It's good, great, even, but against a Dominion fleet? That's suicide." Sam's lips curved into a wry smile. "I thought you liked a challenge." The AI hesitated, then spoke with a resigned edge. "Fine, but don't expect me to pull all the weight. This is your crazy idea." Within hours, Sam had plotted a course to intercept the Dominion's forward fleet. She knew the odds were beyond slim. The Perseverance was fast, maneuverable, and armed with an eclectic mix of weaponry, but it was just one ship. Against an armada, it was a mosquito facing a hurricane. But that mosquito had something the Dominion didn't: unpredictability. As the Perseverance exited hyperspace, the Dominion fleet came into view. The sight stole Sam's breath. A vast array of starships arranged in precise formation, their black hulls glinting ominously. At their center loomed the Imperator, the Dominion flagship, a behemoth bristling with weapons and flanked by smaller, equally deadly destroyers. "Time to see if this rebuild was worth it," Sam muttered, her fingers tightening around the controls. "Or if it's the shortest comeback in history," Aegis quipped. Sam grinned despite herself. "Let's give them something to remember." The Perseverance roared into the fray, its thrusters flaring as it weaved through incoming fire. The Dominion ships reacted sluggishly, clearly unprepared for a single vessel to engage them head-on. Sam exploited the gaps in their formation, darting between destroyers and launching volleys of plasma fire. The first explosion came moments later, as a Dominion frigate succumbed to a direct hit. The blast rippled through the formation, throwing the nearby ships into disarray. "Not bad," Aegis admitted, "but they're adapting. Their targeting systems are recalibrating." Sam pushed the ship into a dive, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy bolts. "Let's keep them guessing then." "Aegis, reroute power to the shields." "I'm going in close." The AI hesitated. "You do realize their point defense systems will chew us apart." "Not if we're faster than their targeting algorithms," Sam shot back, angling the ship toward the Imperator. The Perseverance streaked toward the flagship, its plasma cannons firing in rapid succession. The smaller Dominion ships scrambled to intercept, but Sam outmaneuvered them, her reflexes honed by years of piloting jury-rigged craft. Aegis worked in tandem, predicting enemy movements and feeding real-time data to Sam's console. The ship's hybrid shielding absorbed glancing hits, but the hull shuddered with each impact. Warning lights flared on the cockpit display, but Sam ignored them. Her focus was unyielding, her mind a razor's edge. As the Perseverance closed in on the Imperator, Sam activated the ship's missile pods. The weapon systems had been a last-minute addition, cobbled together from alien ordnance and human ingenuity. She wasn't entirely sure they'd work. "Moment of truth," she muttered, locking onto the flagship's main reactor. "Sam, this is insane," Aegis protested. "Trust me." She launched the missiles. They streaked toward the Imperator, their trajectories erratic and unpredictable, another quirk of their mismatched design. The Dominion's point defense systems struggled to compensate, their firepower split between the missiles and the Perseverance. The first missile detonated against the Imperator's shields, sending ripples of energy across its surface. The second struck moments later, followed by the third. The shields faltered, and the final missile hit its mark, tearing into the flagship's hull. The explosion was deafening, even from a distance. The Imperator listed to one side, fires consuming its once imposing form. The Dominion fleet hesitated, their cohesion fracturing as confusion spread. Sam didn't wait. She guided the Perseverance into the heart of the chaos, targeting the remaining ships with precision strikes. The Dominion's advantage, overwhelming firepower and perfect coordination, crumbled in the face of the ship's agility and unpredictability. As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn. Allied human ships, emboldened by the sight of the Imperator's fall, joined the fray. Sam's reckless charge had sparked something unexpected hope. Hours later, as the last of the Dominion ships retreated, Sam slumped in her seat, exhaustion washing over her. The Perseverance was battered but intact, its systems humming faintly in the aftermath of the fight. "You're insane," Aegis said, its tone somewhere between disbelief and admiration. "Maybe," Sam replied, her voice hoarse. "But it worked, didn't it?" The AI was silent for a moment. "It did. Against all odds, it did." Sam allowed herself a small, weary smile. The galaxy wasn't safe, not yet. But for the first time in years, humanity had struck back. And they'd done it with a ship that the galaxy had deemed obsolete. As the Perseverance limped back toward Allied space, Sam glanced at the cockpit's fractured displays. There was still so much to repair, so much to rebuild. But that was fine. She'd proven something today. Not just to the galaxy, but to herself. The ship wasn't just a weapon. It was a statement. And it wasn't finished fighting yet.